In Emma Brown, Executive Director of Giffords. Thank you, Emma, for joining us. How big of a setback is this for your efforts for gun violence prevention?
Well, so let's just start with the basic fact that the vast majority of Americans don't support bump stocks, right? We have seen that a ban on bump stocks has 85% support across the board. And I think it's really important to talk about what happened today in really plain terms. You know, what happened today is that the Supreme Court has essentially legalized machine guns in this country. And if that sounds insane and unbelievable, it's because it is. A bump stock is a device that converts a semi-automatic rifle, where you have to pull the trigger each time you want to fire, into a rifle where you can just hold down the trigger and you can fire 400 to 800 rounds a minute. And as folks have pointed out on the show this morning, you know, bump stocks were used by the Las Vegas shooter to kill 60 people and hit 400 others in a span of just 11 minutes. And after that shooting, we banned bump stocks in this country. You know, we took an action that was critical for protecting public safety. And today you've seen the Supreme Court roll that back.
So what do you do now?
Well, what we need to see is congressional action, right? As I said, this is not a controversial issue. We're talking about automatic weapons. We're talking about military-grade weapons, right? You know, machine guns were developed for the American military. They have been outlawed in this country for decades. I think that's important to know. You know, we have been regulating machine guns since the 1930s, right? These are military-style weapons. And so what we need to see is bipartisan congressional action to ban bump stocks immediately. And I think if you're thinking about this fall and you're thinking about the election, you know, this is an incredibly impactful moment where Americans will see very clearly who supports public safety and who supports the gun lobby and the gun manufacturers.
So this obviously takes away the federal regulation that had been established by the ATF. But what about state level laws? Do you see a path forward in that direction?
We do. And I will say, you know, I'm the executive director of Giffords. Over the last 10 years, we have been able to pass over 600 state gun safety laws, which have strengthened gun safety in a variety of places across this country. And so, yes, we see that in the absence of federal action, in the absence of Congress taking action that would protect the American people, there's a lot that states can do. I'm sitting in Chicago this morning. Illinois has a ban on bump stocks, right? Every state is able to ban bump stocks if it chose to. And certainly, I think that if state leadership, state governments are watching the Supreme Court decision this morning and they're horrified, there is something that we can do. But more broadly, we need to see bipartisan congressional action immediately to ban bump stocks in the House and in the Senate, which is something that the vast majority of American people, in addition, you know, including Republicans, have been really clear that they want.
Emma, can you talk to us a little bit more about the kind of damage a gun with bump stocks can incur?
Yeah, so I want to just reference Sotomayor's dissent this morning said, you know, she said, when I see a bird that walks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, I call that bird a duck. You know, she is making the point that a bump stock modifies a semi-automatic rifle into a gun that fires 400 to 800 rounds a minute and is essentially a machine gun. You know, now the Supreme Court can quibble on, you know, the grammar and the syntax and the exact definition of what Congress was going for in the 1930s when we first started regulating machine guns. But the reality is that a bump stock allows, from the shooter's perspective, you to just hold down the trigger and fire 400 to 800 rounds a minute. And I think that if Americans are looking for an example of the harm that bump stocks can cause, you don't need to look any further than the Las Vegas shooting, right? A concert where, you know, there were 500 people shot by a shooter that had bump stocks, was using bump stocks in 11 minutes. And I think, you know, after that point, there was President Trump at that point, you know, banned bump stocks. The NRA was initially in favor of regulation on bump stocks because, you know, this isn't controversial. We're not even talking about assault weapons here. We're talking about machine guns, automatic weapons that have no place on our streets or in our schools, you know, or in the hands of anybody but, frankly, the United States military.
Let me read you a reaction we just got from the Trump campaign, Emma. And I quote, "The court has spoken and their decision should be respected. President Trump has been and always will be a fierce defender of American Second Amendment rights, and he is proud to be endorsed by the NRA during a time when our border is open to terrorists and criminals and migrant crime is on the rise." That I should note, is not founded in the facts. The right to keep and bear arms has never been more critical, and Joe Biden wants to take that right away from law-abiding Americans. President Trump won't let that happen. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I think that speaks for itself, right? You just heard that Donald Trump believes that we should essentially have machine guns in this country, and that, the court's action to put them back on the streets of this country is not a problem. Look, I think Joe Biden is the most pro-gun safety president in this country's history. He has taken more action on this issue than any of his predecessors. In comparison, Donald Trump got up, a couple weeks ago at an NRA convention, and he bragged that he did nothing on guns in his presidency. Those were his words, that he did nothing. And I think that if Americans are watching the Supreme Court decision this morning, if parents are watching and they're worried and they are scared, because of what has happened today, you need to look at these two candidates and see the differences between them, because they are crystal clear, and vote for the person who is going to keep us safe, ultimately, and that's Joe Biden.
Emma Brown, thank you so much for taking the time.